Hello, Board of Directors. My name is Jonathan Gerber. I'm an operational manager with Siemens Healthineers, and I've gathered you here today to discuss an issue where Siemens Healthineers is underperforming. We'll describe that issue and then provide a plan on how to make improvements. Just a little background on Siemens Healthineers. Siemens was formed a couple centuries ago in 1847 by Werner Siemens with the emergence of the slide inductor for electrotherapy. That was their first medical product. They've had several successful innovations since then in 1895 and into the early 1900s with the X-ray tubes. But then as we see the modern form of Siemens Healthineers in 2006 and 2007, they acquired 3 different diagnostic companies, Dade Behring, Bayer Diagnostics, and Diagnostics Products Corporation, to become what's the first medical device company with a portfolio that includes imaging, lab diagnostics, and information technology as part of their portfolio. In 2015, Siemens Healthineers split off from their parent company, Siemens AG, and started operating independently, and that is the company that we see today. As it stands, Siemens has 66,000 employees in 70 different countries. They operate with a 2-tier management structure where they have the management body and supervisory board at the corporate office in Germany, making most of the decisions and communicating that out to their different geographical divisions. With that, they're made up of 4 different divisions. Those 4 divisions are diagnostic imaging, cancer diagnostics, advanced therapies, and laboratory diagnostics. The focus of today's presentation will predominantly be on the laboratory diagnostics division. There's been significant optimism as they've had several innovative launches of products, particularly since 2018, but have dealt with some challenges in quality and supply chain that has caused them to lay off individuals and also consider possibly selling off this particular business division. Fortune looks at companies with 8 different dimensions to vote for most admired company. These 8 dimensions are quality of leadership, quality of products, services, innovativeness, social responsibility, wise use of company assets, value as a long-term investment, financial soundness, and people management. The dimension where Siemens Healthineers is underperforming is quality of products and services. There's 3 particular issues that are causing this underperforming. The first being supply chain challenges. They've been having significant issues as they've overcommitted inventory to COVID-19 products when the pandemic launched, which put a strain on several of their other test menu items. And then when demand continued to grow, they were unable to adapt to these new changes and ramp up their own manufacturing capabilities, which has led to significant challenges still as the pandemic has ended. Another key factor is some quality issues with products, particularly new products that get launched. There was very high expectations with the launch of the Atelica chemistry and hematology platform, and it fell short of those expectations as there's been several challenges with installs and frequent quality issues, which has continued to persist and cause unfavorable feelings from customers and delaying new systems going in. A final factor that's led to these quality issues is due to the complexity of their portfolio. With several legacy products still being supported from when they initially bought these companies in 2006 and 2007, is causing a great strain not only on their supply chain but as well as their R&D, which is a major issue that leadership needs to review to improve the issues at hand. Some of the ramifications of this underperformance, first and foremost, is dissatisfied customers. Issues with products end up hurting customers, and hurt customers tend to leave for competitors. Supply chain issues have caused a mistrust in the organization, and when it comes to customer satisfaction, a product quality issue is a major factor that reduces customer loyalty and satisfaction. A second issue is employee turnover. As customer issues and quality issues present itself, it causes a lot of time being spent by employees to fix the issues, and it hurts morale. And ultimately, if there's no empathy from leadership or solutions to make them feel better, employees are going to leave, especially as there's threats of layoffs. A final issue as a result of quality issues is unmet profit expectations. A consequence of supply issues and product quality issues leads to delayed implementations and ultimately failing to meet the goals of the shareholders that are presented itself for revenue expectations. Let's jump into reviewing the organizational design and structure of Siemens Healthineers. As a very large organization, they were set up in a divisional structure, both geographically and by portfolio. So there's the 4 divisions, and they represent themselves in each geographic division. So for example, in the Americas, David Pasidi is the head of Americas, and he has 4 business leaders that manage the 4 different product divisions. And under those business leaders, you would find a VP or VPs, regional managers, and then their following teams of sales, marketing, customer service, engineering and support, and so forth. Organizationally, because they're so large, it is a mechanistic organization. It's very rigid. It's a top-down decision-making process. Behaviors and decisions are driven by specialized processes and rules, which tend to lead to slow action and change, which probably ultimately led to some of these issues. Mechanistic environments are stable, which is great, but they have the ability to minimize costs in these large organizations. As we see, the organization is very focused on innovation, and we also know that their goal is to have a purpose-driven culture. Both are great things to center your culture around. Siemens Healthineers is great at coming up with innovative products, but one of the struggles with innovative products is that those products could fail, and we're going to explore that here in a second as we review a plan for improving those quality failures. Before we do that, we're going to jump into if they embody conscious capitalism. Like most medical device companies, Siemens Healthineers has a focus around a higher purpose. Their purpose statement is pioneering breakthroughs in healthcare for everyone, everywhere, sustainably. So they strive to have their focus on innovation, which makes them a leader in the healthcare space. The focus on Siemens tends to be more on the shareholder than the stakeholders, but they do have a big emphasis on providing time and resources to protect their employees, keep their business supplied, and support their customers. Conscious leadership is also observed. There's a very trust-based leadership style, and they've demonstrated empathy for their employees. Their culture has been very much focused on developing a purpose-driven philosophy and a entrepreneurial mindset. As part of that, having those deep in the fibers of their culture, that they have created a culture of trust and accountability that are key components of conscious culture. All right, plans for improvements. We'll be using Cotter's 8-step plan for change. We'll create a sense of urgency. It's important for everyone in the organization to see that this issue is a major problem and it needs to be taken seriously. Then we'll be building a guiding coalition. It's important that the coalition is formed from members of all different teams and specialties to be able to address the situation from diverse and multiple angles. Then leadership needs to set a strategic vision. This vision needs to show that specific initiatives are going to motivate the teams and convince them that this vision will fix these challenges in the future, and there's a plan in place. After that, it's important to enlist a volunteer army. There needs to be what I would call a task force with a similar goal in mind, rallying together to start working on this change process to improve collaborating and innovation as they look to improve and simplify processes to fix these issues. Next, they need to enable action by removing barriers. With such a rigid and specialized organizational structure, leadership needs to release some control to be able for them to make progress and improve freely. Next, they need to generate short-term wins. They need to set goals along the process to lead to change, to where they can measure and track success along the journey towards creating change. And next, they need to sustain acceleration. As the short-term wins mount, it's important for them to continue to accelerate and focus all their attention on the change to ensure that the process improvements stick. And lastly, they need to institute change. As the process changes and innovations have proven to address the quality issues, they need to replace old processes and old habits and train all individuals in these new processes and changes. Challenges to those solutions, there's 3 that we will address here. Upper management buy-in. There's generally a high cost of change, especially in this case with supply chain and quality issues. It's actually estimated that there could be a $400 million cost to make the necessary changes to address their supply and quality issues. So it's important for the task force and guiding coalitions to be able to show the consequences to leadership of not addressing these issues and protecting the customer base and future business. Next is resource allocation. Time and resources are stretched thin already as they have a complex portfolio and multiple businesses. But it's important, as this will likely require moving employees from one facility to other, that opposition can be overcome if leaders approach this from a standpoint of empathy. And then lastly, is simplifying organizational processes. In a rigid system, habits can be resistant to change. So management should look to adopt a holistic view to be able to be more adaptable to change. And then lastly, what lessons did we learn? I think it's important that process improvements be an important part of preventing issues. It's important that we continuously evaluate processes for improvement and be able to adapt and make changes to prevent serious issues like quality and supply issues. Another lesson that we learned is that the organization needs to be nimble in structure so that it can be valuable in communicating with other silos. Communication is so important to organizational excellence and success that teams can learn from similar specialists in other silos on how, and it's important for them to see how the existing resources can be better utilized so that we don't have to lose teams, or we can just restructure teams. And then lastly, leadership involvement is crucial for change, especially in a top-down decision-making structure. Changes in processes which ultimately sometimes require a change in culture and behaviors, it's most effective when you have it reinforced by leadership. Decisions can often be made quicker, which enables action to be taken to prevent damage like this quality issue. And lastly, are there any questions? Thank you for your time.